In 2013, there was a college basketball player who suffered the worst injury ever. So, what happened to this guy and where is he now? Injuries in sports are one thing that we can't prevent, but we can only hope they don't happen. And in most cases when players get hurt, they eventually come back, but in some rare cases, they don't. Kevin Ware, this basketball player, was born on January 3rd in 1993, and he wound up having a great career. But before we get into that, you guys already know we gotta throw it all the way back to where things started. Kevin Ware grew up in the Bronx, New York, but wound up moving to Atlanta when he was only 14. His family wound up making this move because they wanted to live in a more quiet area. As Kevin Ware was growing up, many people knew he was going to be a basketball star. And he did not let his people down. As soon as rankings came out for him, he was already listed as a 4-star recruit. And in most part for his high school career, he maintained that 4-star ranking. And Kevin Ware was always bigger than his competition. For his junior year, he was listed at 6'4" and 180 pounds. And overall for his junior year in high school, he had a good year. Out of 30 games played, he wound up averaging right at 15 points per game. And well, for his senior year, it was much of the same success. Out of 30 games played again, he averaged right at 13 points per game. But not only that, he also did happen to pitch in 4.1 assists and 3.9 rebounds. And by his senior year, he was actually listed at 6'5". So heading into college, he really wanted to play at Tennessee, and he even signed his letter of intent with them. But he changed his mind once Bruce Pearl, which was the head coach of Tennessee, was fired. He then reopened his commitment and opened up his choices to Georgia and Louisville. This was a very tough choice for him because he basically grew up in Georgia once he moved, but he wound up deciding to go at Louisville. And for the 2011 through 2012 season, he didn't see much success. He barely got to play at all, and he only averaged 5.3 minutes per game. And when he did play, it was okay. He shot 30% from the field and 36% from deep. He did average 1 point per game, but all in all for the year, there's not much to go off of because he just didn't play. But going into his sophomore year, this was going to change. Out of 37 games played, he actually wound up starting 2 of them, and he jumped his minutes up all the way to 16.6. So he was basically playing half of the game, so he was getting in a lot. Even though he was playing a little more, his points really didn't see a huge increase. He only averaged 4.5 a game. However, his overall field goal percentage was pretty good, sitting right at 45%, and his 3-point percentage was right at 40% as well. Even though he didn't see a lot of crazy good success during this year, the team did. Louisville even made it to the Elite 8 that year, but then this is when it happened. On March 31st in 2013, this is when the most gruesome injury in college basketball history happened. It's 2020 and I literally remember seeing this live on TV where I was in everything. It was just one thing if you saw, you can never forget. All that really happened was Kevin Ware was closing out on a shooter and he went up to block the shot, and when he landed, his leg basically just snapped. I'm not going to talk too much about the injury because it's just straight up gruesome, but yeah, you guys get the point. Players and coaches on both teams were completely shocked and just couldn't even look at it. And long story short, people were taking care of him for a few minutes, but then they put him in the ambulance and took him away. They took him to a hospital in Indianapolis and performed a 2-hour surgery on him. Even though Ware got hurt, his team used that as motivation and wound up beating Duke that game 85-63. Eventually, Kevin Ware got enough strength to where he could even go to the Final Four. And he was even there to see his team win the national championship, so they did it for him. Now that's enough about the injury. So what happened after the injury? Just for Kevin Ware to even walk after that injury is insane to think about. But to play, that's even crazier to think about. As crazy as it sounded, he did it. Kevin Ware returned to competitive basketball in the following season of 2013 through 2014. And of course he wasn't 100%, but he did play. For the season, he only played in 9 games and once again didn't play a lot, averaging only 6 minutes per game. But keep in mind, he was recovering from a very serious injury, so that's why. Since he only played in 9 games, he actually got a red shirt for the year, so it's like the year didn't count, so he got 1 more year of basketball. Well, he actually had 2 more left. I'm just saying he had 1 more back. But as he was still rehabbing and recovering, he decided that he was going to transfer and move on from Louisville. And on April 12th in 2014, he announced he was going to transfer to Georgia State University. And he made an immediate impact and had a good year. He wound up starting half of the games that year and almost played 30 minutes per game. And in those 30 minutes, he was producing. He averaged 7.6 points per game, 2.4 assists, and 3 rebounds. Not bad. His overall field goal percentage was right at 44%, and his 3-point percentage was at a pretty decent 30%. And listen to this, he was actually named the MVP of the Sun Belt Conference Tournament. Before we go any farther, we just have to sit back and admire how far this guy came within a 2-year span. That's just one of those underdog stories you like to hear about. However, everyone kind of forgot about this guy, which is kind of sad, but hey, at least he was putting on and showing that he could still play. So heading into his final and senior year of college basketball, I'm not going to say he had huge expectations, but people was expecting more because he showed that he could still hoop. So in the 2015 through 2016 season, he started every game for his team. And he wasn't just starting, he was producing even more. He jumped his points per game up from 7.6 to 11.6. He also improved his assists to 3.1 and his rebounds to 3.7. But we don't stop there. He shot an outstanding 35% behind the 3-point line that season. So once again, he had another good/great year. But however, and unfortunately, he wasn't really looked at as an NBA prospect, and I can really see why. When you're coming off an injury like that, I mean, it's fair to say that you're never going to regain your explosiveness back. And a lot of NBA teams were worried and scared about that. Do I think he could have played in the NBA? Probably, but it's not a chance you want to take if you're an NBA GM. So I can really understand why he wasn't a high draft prospect. But with that being said, his basketball story does not stop there. Flash forward in time to November 25th of 2016, Kevin Ware signed with an overseas team. And this team was known as the BC Burno. And this was his first year playing overseas/pro ball, so he had a tough start. I wouldn't say he had a bad year, it was just an okay season, nothing too special. But ultimately, he decided that he really didn't like the team he was playing with, so he decided to move on once again. So on July 30th in 2017, he announced he was going to join a team out of the Great Basketball League. And for the 2017 through 18 season, he had a good year. For his team, he wound up averaging 12.4 points per game, which is pretty solid. He shot 38% from the field and 33% from deep. So I think we can all agree that's a pretty good/decent year. I mean, he had a career-ending injury basically, and just to be able to walk and play again, that's magical. And to get paid doing it, that's even better. And I just want to say I'm super proud that he did not give up and he kept pursuing his dream. That's just one thing that's hard to do after you have a tough injury like that. So if you're listening to this video and you've had an injury like that, just use this as motivation, man. Do not give up. However, our crazy story does not even stop there. Let's continue on. After he played with that team, he wound up signing with the London Lightning out of the National Basketball League of Canada on August 29th in 2018. So this guy's basically just traveling all over the country, man. He can't stick to one team. And well, for this year, there's just not too much to say. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. He didn't have the greatest of years. And a lot of people thought that was going to be the final and last step in his basketball journey. And he kind of disappeared for a while. But his name popped up once again in 2019. He wound up picking basketball up again and signing with another overseas pro team. And for the 2019 through the 2020 season, which is the current one right now, he played in 17 games for this team. He averaged around 22 minutes per game, which is a pretty good amount, but he only averaged 6.4 points per game, so he wasn't that efficient. His overall field goal percentage was right at 42%, which is solid, but his 3-point percentage was terrible. It was only 19%. But hey, he did also pitch in 2.5 assists and 2.8 rebounds, so not bad. And as of today, and when I'm making this video, that is the last update on Kevin Ware. This guy, I don't even know what to say, man. His story is kind of just really unfortunate. If he didn't get hurt, I mean, you're probably looking at a guy who would have more than likely got drafted in the NBA. But we could play the what if game all day long and for almost everything. At the end of the day, we have to face reality, and this is where his basketball career has led him. With all that being said, I'm wishing Kevin Ware and his family the best of luck, and I hope he continues on to prolong and proceed with his basketball career in whatever he wants to do in life. And I would also like to say this guy is an absolute beast for continuing on with his career and not giving up, man. Props to him. Kevin Ware had one of the most gruesome injuries of all time, but he did not let it stop him from pursuing and chasing his dreams. But hey man, with all of this being said, that's about gonna wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. If you are new to the channel, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button and leave a like for more. And as always, let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.